everyone, welcome back to Blue Flag Bandits, the series that drives F1's worst machinery since 2010, so you don't have to, in the desperate hunt for points. And you join us in 2012, our third season, this year driving for HRT, and it's round 10, the midway point of the 2012 season, the German Grand Prix from Hockenheim. And you join us, if you have noticed already, great. If not, you join us being equal status with Pedro de la Rosa. We didn't manage to attain first driver status. I think we've had a few poor races in the last 5, which I'll come on to in a moment, which maybe haven't quite impressed the team enough, but we are still beating Pedro de la Rosa at all but fastest laps during the race. Pedro actually faster than us at race pace, but we're still winning that battle in the teammate challenge. So HRT have promoted us to equal status. So there we go. We're not going to be driver number 2, but we're probably now not going to see Narain Kartikeyan either. But that's by the by. You join us off the back of a British Grand Prix that, for the most part, was pretty good, but ended with a 4th penalty in 5 races. Once again, the penalty system in this game proving to be a little bit out there. We span, and as we were spinning, we collected Daniel Ricciardo, so we got a penalty for it. Not for the first time this season, but that means that in the standings we remain 13th with 15 points, now just 1 point ahead of Nico Hülkenberg, who's closing on us, and 3 clear of Kobayashi, but some 16 behind Michael Schumacher in 12th. The battle for 13th is going to rage on, and hopefully we can just about stay in front of Nico Hülkenberg, but it's going to be tough. At the top end of things, Fernando Alonso leads the way by 4 points from Lewis Hamilton. A bad race for Webber, or at least in Canada it was a bad race, but he's not really scored well since. He's 26 points behind Alonso. So at the moment we could be looking at a third new challenger, or third new champion, should I say, in our 3 seasons. Jenson Button's in 4th, yet to break the 100 points barrier, but still ahead of Sebastian Vettel, our defending champion, down in 5th, not having a good time of it. Grosjean is 6th ahead of Raikkonen, who's still recovering from a poor start to the season. Rosberg is 8th. Massa makes it into the top 10 after the last round, after also having a pretty terrible start to the year. Maldonado's in 10th ahead of Perez. Then it's Schumacher, ourselves, Hülkenberg, Kobayashi. Ricciardo still on single digits, as is De Resta and Jean-Eric Vergne, and Bruno Senna, who moved level on points with De Resta and Vergne after another couple of decent results in the last few rounds. Kovalainen, De La Rosa, Glock, Petrov, Peak, and the aforementioned Kartikeyan, who turns up at the end of the race results because reasons. All yet to score. Obviously, Kartikeyan hasn't driven and probably now won't for the rest of this year, so we won't be seeing him, but he will probably still pop up in our post-race standings. All yet to score the rest of the new team cars, which is expected, and they've not really got close. We are struggling to beat Caterham on a regular basis because that car is quicker than ours, but we are still doing enough, thanks to that 3rd place back in Malaysia, to remain ahead of them. We're yet to be beaten by them in the standings, and I'm kind of hoping that will continue. Obviously, the end of this year, we lose HRT, so it'll just be Marussia v Caterham and one of the established cars, the team whoever were nearest to the back in the coming seasons, until Caterham disappear, and then it's Manor versus the bottom other 2 teams. And then when Manor disappear in 2016, we move into the likes of Williams and Sauber, and Haas, who finish bottom most of the time, and then we'll be fighting with those sorts of teams as well. In the Constructors, we remain 9th. We're still 8 clear of Toro Rosso, but we're 2 behind Force India now. I think we slipped to 9th rather than hold 9th, but we are still in the top 10 at least. McLaren lead the way by a small margin over Red Bull. They're starting to try and extend the lead at this point. Ferrari in 3rd ahead of Lotus, then it's Mercedes, Sauber, Williams, quite close to that battle for 6th, and then it's us and Force India for that battle for 8th, with Toro Rosso not far behind us. Caterham and Marussia obviously yet to score. And that's where we stand coming in to the Hockenheim ring. Obviously the German Grand Prix at this period in history alternated between Hockenheim and the Nürburgring, and we did the Nürburgring last season. We actually qualified inside the top 10. This is one of the few places we've qualified inside the top 10 on every visit, or both visits so far. 3rd here at Hockenheim with Virgin Racing, and 10th at the Nürburgring with Team Lotus. I fear that's going to come to an end here today. We haven't made out of Q1 yet this season. 9 rounds in, no Q1 exits. We've come close. We finished 18th. We've come super close. Within a few tenths back in, I think, Spain, was it? Canada, maybe? Somewhere we came pretty darn close to making it through, pushing with everything that we could. But I fear that the run is going to come to an end here. There aren't many circuits actually leading into this one where we've actually always got out of Q1. The next round in Hungary we wouldn't have, but Italy and Belgium, both we've managed to get through to at least Q2 in our first 2 seasons. China was also one of them, and that didn't happen either. So keeping the run up here in Germany, I think, is going to be quite the struggle for us in the HRT F112. But let's get into practice and see what sort of pace we have around Hockenheim. And while we do, we'll talk about the 2012 German Grand Prix. Formula One returned to Hockenheim for the German Grand Prix after the previous edition was held at the Nürburgring, with Fernando Alonso leading the way in the drivers' standings. In the constructors, Red Bull were looking strong, leading the way by 64 points, aiming to add to their 2 previous constructors' crowns. The first practice session was held in damp conditions, with a number of drivers falling foul of the weather. Kovalainen, Maldonado, Hamilton, Webber and Verne all found themselves off track at points during practice, while Valtteri Bottas, replacing Bruno Senna at Williams for FP1, lost the rear at turn 13 and hit the barriers. Button would lead a McLaren 1-2 by the end of the session, with limited representative running. Second practice also began in wet conditions, but would dry out as time progressed. Few drivers, though, ventured out early on. Rosberg headed out on intermediates and immediately showed the track was ready for them, but rain would begin to fall with about 25 minutes left. The mixed weather would catch out a number of drivers once again, Perez, Vettel and Hamilton, all exploring the outer reaches of the track, while Daniel Ricciardo would beach his car in the gravel with 10 minutes to go, but suffer no damage. Michael Schumacher wouldn't be so lucky. He'd lose the car at turn 12 and make a big impact with the barrier, red flag in the session with 5 minutes to go. Pastor Maldonado showed his pace and once again topped the times. The final practice was an uneventful affair, save for it effectively being cut short by a few minutes after further heavy rain fell. Fernando Alonso would top the times ahead of Lewis Hamilton, though it wasn't all good for McLaren as Jenson Button was 24th and last. Qualifying began in dry conditions, meaning everybody went out early to try and negate any change in the weather as rain was due to arrive. It would be the usual bottom 6 driver out in Q1, along with Jean-Eric Verne, who was becoming a regular in the elimination zone. Rain would then fall between Q1 and Q2, becoming heavy as the session started. Once again, everyone would head out early to start laps on intermediate tyres before the conditions deteriorated. Felipe Massa's poor 2012 continued as he dropped out in Q2, but once again. But he was joined there by Romain Grosjean on the Lotus, not making it through either.
That's the quickest of the session so far.
The final part of qualifying was held in full wet conditions, making the gap between the pole sitter and 10th place over 5 seconds. It'd be Alonso who took pole ahead of Vettel and Webber. Schumacher would take 4th even after his damage the day before.
Temperatures are looking really good.
Ahead of Hülkenberg, Maldonado, Button, Hamilton, Di Resta and Raikkonen. Webber would, however, start in 8th due to a gearbox change. Alonso started well, holding the lead into turn 1, with Vettel and Schumacher holding station behind. Further down the order, the other Ferrari, Felipe Massa, hit the back of Bruno Senna, losing his front wing. The contact also caught out Romain Grosjean, who also needed a front wing replacement. There was no safety car despite the debris, which ended up actually giving Lewis Hamilton a puncture as well. stops would pass with little incident. Maldonado was the only person to lose out, down to a severe loss of pace on his second set tyres. The leaders and the sounders would pit later on, with Perez making up to 4th from his 17th place
Your
grid
times
spot.
are okay through sectors 1 and 3, but you're losing a lot of time in sector 2.
After the stops, Alonso would lead Vettel by a narrow margin, but the German wouldn't be able to get close enough to trouble the Ferrari. Hamilton, who was running down in 18th after his earlier puncture, would pit and come out between Vettel and Button. The McLaren would be quick enough to unlap himself from Vettel, causing the Red Bull problems, but he wouldn't be able to unlap himself from Alonso. Button would manage to jump Sebastian Vettel at the second pit stop, taking second and closing in on Ferrari of Alonso up ahead. The Brit would get within DRS range, but was still unable to challenge Alonso like Vettel before. Button would then fall back into the clutches of the Red Bull, who overtook the Brit, but would do so off track, the FIA choosing to investigate after the race. Fernando Alonso would cross the line first ahead of Vettel and Button. Vettel's overtake was deemed illegal though, and he'd be given a 20-second penalty, dropping him down to 5th, meaning Button would take 2nd, with Raikkonen taking 3rd. Kobayashi would pip Vettel to 4th spot, while Perez, Schumacher, Webber, Hülkenberg and Rosberg would complete the top 10.
You're losing a lot of time in sector 2.
What's the hope for us then on our return to the Hockenheim ring? I actually quite enjoy driving this place, more so than the Nürburgring, so I'm at least hoping to be on the pace with my fellow backmarkers. We're at the halfway point of the season, we get to get a Q1, which I'm getting close to thinking won't happen at all in 2012. It means our aim is going to have to be pretty low. I'd like to think we can get on par with the top of the elimination zone here, so let's aim for 18th place and push with all we've got to see if we can spring a surprise in Germany.
It won't be easy getting out of this qualifying session, but see what you can do.
In the garage then, for qualifying at the German Grand Prix, practice finished where you'd expect us to, P19. But actually only a few tenths of a second off the cars in front. We weren't actually too bad, which is quite nice. This circuit is a lot of fun to drive. I do miss Hockenheim, probably more so than the Nürburgring. And that may be a hot take for some people, but I like Hockenheim, and like modern Hockenheim as well. Old Hockenheim was cool, blasting off through the forests and that. But this one feels a lot more fun to drive. There's a lot more flow to it, a lot more opportunity for overtakes. We actually had to do some in practice, which is also nice to see where we can outbrake people up towards the hairpin. But right now we need to go out and get a decent time on the board. Let's get out there, see if we can fight our way into Q2.
Sector 1, okay. Sector 2, losing a little. Sector 3, your times are well down.
So that's where we're at, heading on to our fastest lap of the session. You saw we took a fair amount of curb in turn 1, actually able to get away with it. Car rotating a little through 2 and 3, but we're already 2 tenths of a second up, and just over 4 tenths of a second up on the cars ahead. A couple of bits of traffic to navigate, but they move well out of the way as we head up towards the hairpin. Absolutely maximum attack. Get on the brakes nice and early, get the car turned in, maybe a little too far away from the inside apex, and we have to correct a little on exit. It doesn't seem to have cost us all that much, heading down towards the Mercedes grandstand. Again, heavy braking zone, got to get this one right, and we do so. Maybe take a little bit of curb, which sees the rear slip just a touch, but not too bad. On the power, nice and early through there. A tenth of a second up on our best time, but 2 tenths down on getting out of Q1. But we get into the stadium section nice and neatly until we get to this hairpin, run a little wide, which costs us a bit of time, and we're all over the curb through there. But we're able to just gun it through that little chicane in the middle. This final couple of corners never seemed to be able to get it right. Took an awful lot of curb though to ensure that we missed the gravel on the way out.
Okay,
but still not quite enough to get through.
And we're in the drop zone. We need a quick lap or that's qualifying over for us. Okay, that's lower than we expected today. 19th place.
And qualifying comes to an end in Q1 once again. P19, that sort of traditional spot. Some 1.2 seconds off Daniel Ricciardo in the end. The AI just upping their pace in qualifying as normal. And for a large portion of that, we were actually behind both Mauritius and Heikki Kovalainen. And even Pedro Della Rosa, only ahead of Vitaly Petrov. But we managed to pull it round. Certainly quicker in the first sector, but couldn't seem to get the rest of the lap hooked up. Didn't really ever look like I was going to get close in the end, which is a shame. But it's pretty normal since 2011. Maybe, though, this could be a race where things go our way. We need one after the past few. But let's go across to the German Grand Prix. Welcome then to the garage for the 2012 German Grand Prix P19, as has been the case for a lot of about a season and a half now in these new team cars. Really hoping the Mauritius is going to be just a tad more competitive, but not holding my breath. And a 4% chance of rain. So there's an outside chance, a very small chance, that we'll see some rain before the end of this one, or at some point in this one. We got the timing right for the switch to Inters in Britain, but then couldn't control it by the end because it got too wet. I'm hoping that if it does rain, it's literally like the last lap or two, and we can kind of not worry so much about it. But we'll see how this one goes. Let's take a look at the grid, and then we'll have a talk about what we're hoping for here in Hockenheim. Sebastian Vettel took a home pole position ahead of Fernando Alonso. Kamui Kobayashi took third, with Hamilton in fourth, and Raikkonen in fifth, then Webber, Button, Grosjean, Hulkenberg, Rosberg. So 3 Germans in the top 10. That's good for the home crowd. Massa down in 11th, couldn't make it out of Q2 with Perez, Schumacher in 13th. Not a great day at home for the 7-time champion. Then it's De Resta, Senna, Verne, Maldonado. Ricciardo dropped out in Q1 with us. We're ahead of Glock, Peak, Kovalainen, Della Rosa, and Petrov. And traffic was a real pain during qualifying, and I think that's why the grid is possibly slightly mixed up. Kobayashi being all the way up there in third. He might be a little bit of a roadblock if he doesn't get jumped early. But we got a couple of other drivers who are probably much lower than you'd expect them. This place treated us really nicely in 2010. We took a third place after, I think, a front row start or a third place start back at the time, and we were only beaten by Rosberg and Webber, who jumped us at the pit stops. It's not going to be quite so easy this time. I think we're going to be picking up positions early, as we always do, but that long straight to the hairpin, I think it's going to be quite tough to hold people back. I'd like to at least get through this race without penalties. We've only managed that once since Spain, and that was at Valencia, where we managed a clean race, and actually a pretty decent one. Britain as well was pretty good until the very end. We were driving well and taking positions, and that early switch to intermediates meant that we regained a huge amount of positions, especially through the AI having their own instance. If we do get any rain, that's going to throw everything out for everybody once again. I don't think points are going to be on the board here. I don't think there's a chance here. I don't think. Let's try that again, shall we? There's a chance here, I think, that we're not going to get points for the rest of the season. That Malaysia was a one-off, and we'll struggle. But this could be somewhere that we can make moves. I'm not going to aim too much higher than our grid spot. I think the team wanted 18th in qualifying, and we didn't achieve that. Let's try and achieve 18th here. See if we can make some moves early, gain some places, and try and hold on to them. But it's going to be another race of looking in our mirrors, I think. So, let's get to the grid for the 2012 German Grand Prix. Vettel on pole at home, ahead of Alonso, the championship leader. Kobayashi there behind him. There we are. Just about to see the white poking out from behind the Russia. That's Pedro Della Rosa at the back. So we can get a good launch here. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5. And away we go in Germany. Immediately looking to the side, because here come the Mauritius of Peak and Glock. There's a gap through the middle there, and we will take it. There was a little bit of contact, I think, with Ricciardo, who's gone round. No penalty for that one, amazingly. As we'll take a dive here, and we might once again make it into the top 10. We've actually made it into 8th. Great start. We're side by side with Button, but he's going to be so much faster than us, although he's not really getting away, the McLaren. He stays to the inside for the hairpin, and we'll brake late. And we've gone at the inside of Webber as well. We're in P6. What a start at Hockenheim. Raikkonen already losing the top 4 ahead. So I don't think we're going to be catching that Lotus anytime soon. Airy wide there. Started on the prime tyres, so we're going long here as well. Button had a look into the stadium section. We'll keep him behind for now, but we're much further ahead than I expected to be, and somehow didn't get a penalty for that contact with Ricciardo. He did sweep across the Toro Rosso. I'm pretty sure he lost his front wing. He's way off the back. Della Rosa looks to be moving slowly as well. Can't make a move into turn 1, Jensen. We end the first lap P6. Hamilton still fighting with Raikkonen up ahead. Button's going to have DRS here. I think he's just going to sweep past. Just hold him to what becomes the inside at the hairpin.
Keep on him, he might make a mistake.
Yeah, later on the brakes. Sweep back around the outside. Kobayashi that's fallen now to 5th. I think maybe he was the cork in the bottle for those guys. We're going to look for a run into turn 1. Don't really make a pass here. Just because there's a almost flat sweep rather than a heavy braking zone. Compromise him a little bit. Otherwise everyone behind him as well, to a point where actually he's fallen out of DRS. We'll have a lap where we're not necessarily under attack into the hairpin. We run wide into the stadium, and there goes Button. Can we get back up the inside? Yes, we can. The McLaren will try to switch back.
We're really competitive.
Hold on to
well above where we
P6.
expected to be.
Button's going to be on the attack on the DRS here. He's going to have a Lotus with him as well. It'll be Romain Grosjean. Going to get a little compromise through there, so
Button's just behind you. Try to build a gap.
with the DRS they're going to get close, but I don't think quite close enough. Actually completely overtake. Will remain to the outside. Managed to hold the 2009 champion off. These tyres are supposed to run to lap 20. That suggests that about lap 14, 15 we'll start seeing the AI come in. Much closer this time. Go through. Grosjean will have a think.
Focus, we can get that place back.
Get Button on the brakes into the hairpin. No. You know what? I think we can. About when I can brake compared to the AI. I've seen it a lot this season. Train is down 3. Third car has joined. Again, Button will go to the inside. We will get on the brakes later. Swing it around the outside. Like the Sauber of Sergio Perez, I think. Heading up that queue.
You're on the
10th
slower
place,
tyre,
9th,
but you're
10th.
maintaining the gap to the car ahead, so we're very happy. This is good.
Heading up that queue. Yeah, much slower or damaged car. And then there's a gap to the rest of the field further back as well, and then Pedro de la Rosa and I'd assume Daniel Ricciardo way off at the back.
Be aware, we think the car behind is trying to save fuel.
Oh, it's Mark Webber. Webber was in that clutch of cars behind us. We forgot about him. He's through now. Might be more difficult to hold the Red Bull off than it is the McLaren. Look how much quicker he is. He's got nothing to hold that Renault engine back. Even on a short straight. How long we can hold the Australian back, if at all. A much longer queue of cars behind Webber now, though. There's nothing I've got to defend from Mark Webber. The Red Bull's so much faster. Won't even be anywhere near it when it comes to the hairpin. Massa is next up. Button's had a really bad time of it as I almost go into the back of the Red Bull. Button's in that group of cars now, led by Massa, but we slipped to 7th. Ferrari going to be quite as quick, not as quick as the Red Bull, to the point where we can right lengthen him into the hairpin, back round him.
Calculations, Massa should be stopping for new tyres within the next 5 laps. Massa into the pits in the next 5 laps.
Don't try and make a move into turn 1 and we chop across Massa, no contact, but that pushes him into the clutches of Jenson Button. We've fallen to 9th. We've got Perez in behind him. Cut round, went at the inside. There goes Button as well. Is there going to be enough to fight Massa back? I don't think so, although let's see what we've got on the traction race.
Looks like the car behind has a small amount of damage to his front wing. We don't think it's affecting his performance, so keep pushing.
Drifted out through the corner. There was a little bit of contact, but not a huge amount. Oh, we've lost the front wing.
You've lost your front wing. If you can nurse the car back to the pits, we'll fit a replacement.
We lose the front wing.
Options confirmed for your next box.
Literally as we go around the final corner. Take off over the grass. That's going to kill this race for us. The rest of forces his way up the inside. We'll do the same at the hairpin. That will make Schumacher through too.
Your lap times are looking
That's
forward.
infuriating.
Pit for repairs. Pit.
Literally about to say, I really hope we can hold this 7th place until the AI come in. And then we do that.
Box.
Just got to get the car in now. Ricardo's not the man that's last. He's in 16th. We should, hopefully, get out ahead of the little cluster of cars. We're definitely going to go a lap down this race, I think. And stop again after this. There's no point in putting options on now. Petrov is the next car.
Exit now. Stay clear of the white line. We don't want a penalty.
Of course.
The car's got a new set of prime tyres on. You only have to stop once now. One stop left.
This race is falling apart rapidly.
The car behind is running on the option tyre. They have the advantage.
Might as well. The cars are coming in, so if we serve the drive-through now...
There's a gap of 3 seconds between you and the car behind. See if you can increase the gap.
At least... probably see a few of the cars behind us come in, but they're going just... I was like, oh yeah, it's time for you to take control again. And it points the car straight as you leave the pits. And we just went straight over the white line. So, penalty again in this race.
We think the car behind is running on full revs. He's trying to close the gap.
So we should see some of these guys behind us come in. Peak does not, Petrov does. Yeah, Pedro's coming in. And I'd assume Glock as well.
The track is clear. Track is clear.
Yeah, a lot more cautious as we exit the pits this time. James 23, Sergio Perez is retired, so that's somebody in front of us. Or at least, if not already, have gained a spot from that. Oh, Peak should be in. That he is, so we'll move back up to P15. We've still got another stop to do.
The car behind has just fitted a set of prime tyres. Prime tyres.
The line has stayed out. We've been passed by Jean-Eric Verne, who I think has already pitted. So I assume the Toro Rosso is going to go breezing past us soon enough. Yeah, we still need to stop to fit the options because have to pit early because of damage and then got to drive through. It's been a pretty shambolic German Grand Prix.
We think the car behind is running on full revs. He's trying to close the gap.
Here comes Bruno Senna. Massive amount I can do there. Maldonado next behind us. And it looks like everybody else has stopped and done their sort of mandatory change, so we are very much at a disadvantage here. I think what we're going to do, I think I'll box this lap.
Options confirmed.
The options on. Run to the end. I'm going to fall a lap down, so that will at least lessen the distance on them by a lap. But also means I'll have maybe enough time to try and a place or two back as I run into the gravel on pit entry. Bernardo will go by us.
Pit crew will ready
Willie.
tyres for your next
That
stop.
looks like the Williams pit crew. Are on. Oh, just about avoid crossing the white line again.
Watch out as you rejoin the track.
And we hold 16th, so we get out ahead of Kovalainen.
You have no more scheduled pit stops.
We're lapped,
so
I think
look
it was
after your
Hamilton.
tyres.
It was McLaren, that's for sure, but yeah, we don't fall too much further down the order at least. Oh no.
You need to let the car behind
just
you
about
past. He's not racing you for
get out of
position.
Raikkonen's way. There he is, fourth. Kobayashi behind us as well. I'm going to try and let through as I've disappeared off the grass. That's going to be Verne now right behind us. Rejoined unsafely in front of Raikkonen there. That would have even given the Iceman a pause for thought.
Watch out for the car chasing you. He's less than a second behind and will use DRS
Let's
to
get
overtake.
DRS off Kobayashi to defend a little bit. Toro Rosso's still so much quicker. up and under. Hold him off. Oh, Vern. He's completely lost his front wing. That might be the second time that Jean-Eric Vern has lost his front wing because of me.
We've heard on the radio that the car behind has handling issues. He's damaged his front wing.
Vern's going to have to come in again. Terrible day for Jean-Eric Vern. Vettel's out. We're down to 22 and Vettel is the person in front of us.
The car ahead is trying to create a gap.
We're going to move up to 15th.
Maximum power.
Sebastian Vettel out of his home Grand Prix with not many laps to go. It's really going to affect his title defence, which has not gone well so far this season. Reminiscent of a much later Sebastian Vettel out at Hockenheim that affected his championship. We will get there. Here's the rear there. The tyres are pretty worn. I have maybe only one set
conditions. Let the car immediately behind through. You're not racing him.
Option tyres. We'll let Webber through. Let's not forget, earlier in the race we were battling Webber for position. We're using P5 lapping us. I don't think I'm going to have an awful lot to defend from Pastor Maldonado here. Quick Bruno Senna was, look at that. Nothing I can do really.
You're down to 16th.
16th. Ahead of Charles Peak, who's a good distance behind. Charles being lapped as well, so that's going to cost them time. Kovalainen must have slipped back.
Okay, we need you to make way for the car behind.
Here comes the Jensen Button. Again, battling him for that very position earlier in the race. Now being lapped by the McLaren. Next through is Felipe Massa. Really get out of his way and get out of the throttle, which cost me time to Charles Peak, but we've got a nice buffer where he's getting lapped as well. Only a couple of laps to go now. And into our final lap of the German Grand Prix.
Bring the car home,
to get
only a couple
laps.
of laps to go.
Sergio Perez maybe?
You need to let the car behind you pass. He's not racing you for position.
But a race of what could have been. That's Nico Rosberg actually. We should be able to just go around the outside. Running as high as 6th at the start. Defending well, Fernando Alonso takes victory to really strengthen his grip on the top of the driver's standings. But we were running 6th, slipped to 7th as Webber recovered after a poor start. Found ourselves able to actually match Button and Massa and try and keep them behind, but then we lost the rear through the final corner and hit the wall on the inside of the start-finish straight, lost our front wing, immediately fell to 15th, and then upon leaving the pit lane picked up a penalty, crossing the white line as we were given control, pointing in a straight line when the pit exit line, or the white line on the outskirts of the pit exit is right there. Came in, served our drive through. Fortunately for us, it was the same time as everybody else. We managed to come home. P16 in the end. P16 in Germany then. A could have been so much better, but we still finish ahead of the Caterhams, the Marussias, a Toro Rosso, who I think we may have had contact with twice, but didn't get any penalties for it, and obviously Pedro de la Rosa. At the top end of things, though, Fernando Alonso took the victory ahead of Lewis Hamilton. So the top two in the championship fighting hard already. Kimi Räikkönen in third ahead of Kamui Kobayashi. Dennis Webber, Button, Massa, Rosberg, Schumacher and Grosjean completing the points picture. Nico Hülkenberg just outside of it with Paul di Resta, Daniel Ricciardo and Senna Maldonado there. We are ahead of Pique, Glock, Verne, Kovalainen, Petrov and Pedro de la Rosa. Vettel and Perez didn't make it to the end of the German Grand Prix, which gifted us a couple of spots in the end anyway. What does that mean for the drivers' stand-ins? Well, Engineer Andy not saying we're 7th. That's good. Fernando Alonso leads now by 11 points from Lewis Hamilton, who is 30 points clear of Mark Webber, who's slipping out of that title fight. Then it's Button. Vettel really slipping further and further back as the races go on. He's now under threat from Grosjean and Räikkönen, who are level on points in 6th and 7th. Then it's Rosberg, Massa, Maldonado holds on to the top 10. 5 clear of Perez and Schumacher. There's Kamui Kobayashi in 13th. We slip to P14 after Kamui's 4th place. Still though, a point ahead of Hülkenberg, but now 9 behind Kamui. And it's Ricciardo, di Resta, Verne and Senna. Kovalainen, de la Rosa, Glock, Pique, Petrov and Kartikeyan still yet to score. As we've said, Kartikeyan won't. He's not going to be joining this season, so he will just remain P25 on the post-race driver stand-ins. In the Constructors, McLaren now 48 clear of Ferrari. Red Bull are third with Lotus in 4th, and it's Mercedes and Sauber. Williams fall a little bit further behind the Swiss outfit, with Force India above us, still with 2 points behind Force India, but still ahead of Toro Rosso, who didn't score. Caterham and Marussia also still yet to score. And that's 10 rounds down in 2012, and 5 of them, half of the rounds we've done this season, have been punctuated by penalties, which is unlike this series so far. We had 1 penalty, I think, back in Brazil last year when everybody just backed off on the start-finish straight at the end of the race. And obviously got black flagged in a couple of races in 2010, but yeah, penalty system quite sensitive on 2012. Need to be a bit more careful. Could have been so much better. We might have been able to claim a couple of points and draw level with, if not get ahead of Force India. But we're still in the top 10, and we're still holding off Toro Rosso at the moment, which is something for our little HRT. But a German Grand Prix to forget, I think. So many ways that could have gone better. So much we could have ended up with knowing. Not knowing, but stopping ourselves spinning and picking out that penalty. We might have even been able to hold on to points. But that's not going to help come the end of the season. Ifs and maybes and what ifs. We'll move on to Hungary next, and we hope that we can get back on track and maybe finish another race without a penalty. That would be great. Thank you so much for watching this one, though. Like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. You know the drill by now. I'll see you for the next one. Take care. Bye for now.